Hi everyone. I think we have now some attendees already. We will wait for like 2 more minutes and then we'll start. Good afternoon. I'm sure everyone is fine, and so we're gonna have a very interesting session today with Mr. Khalid, and I'm very much sure that you're gonna love this session. And we are going to have a lot of more sessions coming up from with this same topic and some other topics, of course. Hi everyone. So I think we have a very good attendance already. So let's start our webinar. Mr. Khalid, you're there, right?
I'm right here.
Perfect. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And so I have Mr. Khalid, who is the CEO of Bavo Institute. It's a professional trainings provider, and they are working in different domains like one of them is, of course, sustainability, and then they are also into accounting and finance related stuff. Other than that, they are doing very like innovative things about around the VR, as I was told last time by Khalid. Mr. Khalid is also the CEO of Nefsi, which is one of the first e-commerce platform for food delivery, which is into supplying the food, but with a link to charity to the organization. He's also, by the way, have a lot. He holds a lot of records, Guinness Book of World Records. The last one, which I remember, was of 50, how many meals you provided in one day? I think. Please correct me if I'm wrong. It was around 50,000 meals, right?
Yeah, 52,000, correct.
52,000 exactly. So they actually he managed all the stuff by providing 52,000 meals in one day, and it was a crazy, sort of a campaign. And I remember how he actually managed it. It was marvelous. Uh, so we are going to, of course, this is IFA's event, and I understand that many of the IFA members are already here. And just to give you guys a quick update about the events which are happening now. After today's session, the next session we are going to have on 4th of October, which is about the corporate tax. This event will be in coordination with Bavo and Skyline University in Sharjah. It will be done. It will be uh, planned, and it's already finalized. You people will also get the email soon, which is going to be a physical event. We are expecting a lot of very good industry professionals joining us there. After that, we are going to have our next networking event in October. The dates are already finalized and will be shared with you guys. Then after that, even after that, in the following month, in November, on 24th of November, we are going to have our annual dinner. Uh, I'm really quite excited about that event because a few of our colleagues from IFA are joining us on that event. And So that's the update from my side, and I'll just like quickly hand over everything to Mr. Khalid so that he can start. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Saqib, for the brief introduction. And Assalamu alaikum, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depends on where are you. I'm happy to be with you today. Thank you so much to the IFA to arrange this seminar and allow me to be your speaker today. And thank you all for your registration. So my name is Khalid Diab, and I'm going to talk today about building a sustainable community towards the net zero initiatives. Actually, a couple of years back, I was in a meeting, and then someone representing one of the top universities in UK was talking about some new topics, and he was so excited to share that there is something new called net zero. So at that time, I understood that it's network zero, which I didn't understand what does it mean. So I start to look for it and understand what is it. And when I got to know how important it is for our life and our future, I start to attend lots of seminars and lots of courses. And believe me or not, but every day almost I'm dedicating some time to learn something new about this initiative. So today we are going to talk about the greenhouse gases. What's the net zero? The goals of net zero? What's the TCFDs and the disclosures which we have to disclose in our financial reports? And what's net zero for accounting? How to implement? And of course, the commitment. So let's start first with the greenhouse gases. The greenhouse gases is actually from the fossil fuel and other pollution which we generate, which results in the emissions of carbon dioxide and methane, which is accumulating in our atmosphere around Earth. And it's holding the temperature. That's why there is climate change. Let's say it in a different wording. When the sun shines in the morning, it heats the Earth. And at night, the Earth cools down and send back the heat up. It's stuck in the atmosphere because the methane and the carbon dioxide captures the heat and keep it within our atmosphere. That's why there is global warming. Of course, the causes of greenhouse gases is numerous, like the factories and industries using the fossil energy, and even the coolings and heatings in our houses. So the major sectors affecting is actually the manufactories and constructions, residentials, our houses, because we are using electricity and lights and cooling and heating at home, which is generated by the fossil energy, electricity and heating, and of course transportation like aviation, like fleets, sea fleet, and our beloved cars, of course. If we see how much carbon dioxide emission during the last couple of decades, you will find that it was almost very low. But in the last 70 years, it's increasing exponentially. The biggest two countries affecting the emission of carbon dioxide, of course, it's China and United States due to the massive production. And if we break it down by sectors, you'll find that agriculture and electricity and heat and cooling production is one of the highest, and of course, industries and our buildings and transportation. So what is the causes and the effects of the greenhouse gases? The rapid industrial and also the energy we use, like the fossil, and also the deforestation, because the plants actually absorb the carbon dioxide. But if we remove it, so what will absorb the carbon dioxide? The farms, the transportations, and other pollution. The effect is rising temperature, rising the sea level, unpredictable weather pattern, and the extreme weather which is we are facing every day. Yesterday, I was reading the news and I found that there is heavy rain in UK, unexpected, unpredictable. And also there is a flood in Oman, and there is overheat in Australia. The three countries are affected in one day. So we were not seeing this before, but now we are seeing it more frequent. And it's damaging our planet and our assets, taking lives. These disasters is actually affecting our food, our water. Even the air is not clean as before. So the climate is changing, and it will continue to change and to harm us. Oh, I just got message from Mother Earth. Let's listen to it together.
Some call me nature. Others call me Mother Nature. I've been here for over 4.5 billion years, 22,500 times longer than you. I don't really need people, but people need me. Yes, your future depends on me. When I thrive, you thrive. When I falter, you falter. Or worse. But I've been here for eons. I have fed species greater than you, and I have starved species greater than you. My oceans, my soil, my flowing streams, my forests, they all can take you or leave you. How you choose to live each day, whether you regard or disregard me, doesn't really matter to me. One way or the other. Your actions will determine your fate, not mine. I am nature. I will go on. I am prepared to evolve. Are you?
Thanks for the message from Mother Earth, and it's absolutely right. The nature it's adapted, but we are not. So we have to be careful of our actions because we are destroying our planet and our nature, and it's affecting us back. So we have to move towards solutions where we move towards the clean, green, and renewable energy. Decarbonize the aviation. We have to move towards the electric cars. We have to decarbonize the plastic which you are consuming by thousands of tons every single day, and move towards greenhouses. Now it's time to talk about net zero. It's not network zero, by the way, as I said in the beginning. So what's the meaning of net zero? First, there is a couple of terms which we will explain it in a minute, like carbon, like climate, neutral, zero, positive, and negative. Let's make it very simple. Our greenhouse gas emission of carbon is affecting our Earth. How to neutralize it? By reducing it or by removing it and offsetting it. Like here, right now, the carbon dioxide is increasing day after day because we saw the chart how it's exponentially increasing. So how we can reduce the carbon dioxide emission and how we can remove it and offset it from our nature and atmosphere in order to reach the neutral carbon dioxide. So our emission release should be same like the emission reduced. in order to achieve that and neutralize the carbon dioxide. Let's watch some terms here and explanation about net zero.
Carbon, climate, neutral, zero, positive, negative. There are so many terms you'll hear to do with reducing our environmental impact, it's easy to get confused. So let's start with the simplest. The first step to take on our climb to minimal impact, carbon neutral. To be carbon neutral, the amount of greenhouse gas released is matched by reductions elsewhere. This is emissions offsetting through carbon credits. Buying credits helps fund carbon avoidance projects around the world, like renewable energy generation or forest protection. For example, say a company emits 1,000 tons of carbon in a year through its activities and value chain. It then buys credits to save 1,000 tons of carbon from being released elsewhere. Emissions are compensated for, and the company is carbon neutral. It works for individuals too, and even one-off events. Perhaps a large international conference estimates its likely emissions to be 300 tons of carbon. Delegates have to travel, and the venue must be powered. By buying the equal amount in carbon offset credits, the event can be advertised as carbon neutral. But carbon neutral doesn't actually cut how much carbon ends up in the atmosphere. And it doesn't take into account less immediate indirect emissions. So we need to go a step further and aim for net zero emissions. An international target of net zero emissions by 2050 was agreed at the Paris Climate Summit. Meeting this target will help limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius this century. Net zero is also about neutralizing emissions, but it starts with attempts to cut how much carbon ends up in the atmosphere in the first place. So a company or country or individual works out its total emissions and puts these on one side of the scale. Activities like manufacturing, transportation, and buildings all add up. Then, less obvious indirect emissions are factored in. These might include emissions released by a supplier when they make a product's component, or for the international conference example, the food miles of the catering. Next, in line with laws and targets, emissions are reduced, ideally 45% by 2030. In our example, the first step might be that the office and factory are renovated to high efficiency standards, and energy now comes from renewable sources. Then the manufacturing process is streamlined. Perhaps the supplier makes their own emissions reductions. Finally, the fleet of vehicles becomes electric. It's hard to completely avoid emissions, so instead, any greenhouse gases that are still released are neutralized by investment in carbon removal projects. This is where carbon is taken out of the atmosphere and locked away, either naturally or using technology. Emissions can now be called net zero. Of course, in the real world, it's rarely so simple or clear-cut, but it's what we're aiming for. And after this, what do we find at the top of our climb to minimal environmental impact? Climate positive action, sometimes called carbon negative, goes beyond net zero and tips the balance in favor of carbon removal. The ambitious aim is not just to avoid doing damage, but to improve the natural world. This could create positive feedback loops, seen in examples like regenerative agriculture and zero heating buildings. It's like when small lifestyle changes lead to a critical mass of positive effects. One good thing leads to another, and we're on the way to a healthier, cleaner, greener future.
Perfect. So that's net zero. Now, how we can implement that? In order to implement that or join the initiative, we need to align with science. So it came up the Science-Based Targets Initiatives, which is the SBTi's. The goal of the SBTi's is to reduce 90% of the carbon by 2050. Why? Because our goal is to reduce the global warming by 1.5 Celsius. That's our all-over target. How to achieve that? Every company should have the scope and the boundaries to do four things. First, to have a short-term and near-term science-based targets, which is 5 to 10 years, in how to reduce the carbon emission due to its supply chain. And then we'll have a long-term science-based targets to reach minus 1.5 Celsius by 2050. And then after achieving that, it will come to the third step, which is neutralizing carbon and keep removing the carbon and don't release it back again. Last but not least is to invest in the outside science-based targets to help mitigation of the carbon release by another organization or another company or another government somewhere else. There is 6 steps to do that. First, we have to measure how much greenhouse gas and carbon dioxide we are releasing due to our operations. Second is to set the targets. What we need to do by when. Third is a commitment from the stakeholders that they will support the movement. And then we need to plan when we have to achieve that and how much it will cost. And then report it and offset it and reduce the carbon. And keep doing this till we reach the 90% reduction of the carbon emission. Now I have a question for you. If the first step is to measure, how many of you are measuring the carbon dioxide emission due to your operations in your company or organization? How many of you? Okay. Don't be upset, because 91% of the companies don't measure it. And that's the problem. So 90% of the companies don't measure the emission coming out from their operations and supply chain. And guess what? The 9% who record the carbon dioxide emission is not yet accurate. Why? Because as the legendary Peter Drucker said, you cannot manage what you don't measure. We cannot manage our weight if we don't measure our weight. We cannot manage our revenue if we are not measuring our revenue. So the Financial Stability Board came up with the Task Force Climate-Related Financial Disclosures. This one is actually to focus on the accuracy and transparency of assessing the risk and the opportunities of climate change financial numbers, which is crucial and very important for your decision-making. So the Financial Stability Board created the TCFD as a guidance and to show you the objectives of the climate-related reporting. And here is a message from Michael Bloomberg, the chairman of the Task Force Financial Disclosures, regarding the importance of climate-related financial disclosure.
Hello, I'm Mike Bloomberg, chairman of the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures. As you know, the COVID-19 pandemic has upended the global financial system, but another crisis also shocked the system this year: climate change. Wildfires, heat, flooding, and other extreme weather events have devastated communities and cost trillions of dollars this year alone, and all are being fueled by the climate crisis. At the TCFD, we've created standards for businesses to disclose critical information about the impact of climate change to lenders, insurers, investors, and other stakeholders. The good news is more than 1,500 organizations in the public and private sector have now endorsed our recommendations. And this year's status report shows that more and more companies are adopting them. Government leaders, supervisors, and regulators have also announced policies, partnerships, or support for climate-related disclosures. And leaders at every level are making sustainability and resilience a key part of their economic recovery plans. We still have a long way to go. Investors, asset managers, corporations, governments, and financial institutions have an important role to play. And I hope this year's report helps as we work together to improve climate risk disclosures and make more progress.
Very good. So now, what is the financial disclosures? The financial disclosures consist of four main elements: governance, which is the stakeholders strategy, your company strategy; the risk management, how to manage the risk associated with the climate change; and metrics and targets. Let's take it one by one. So governance is actually how to disclose the governance and stakeholder oversight and assessing the climate-related risks and opportunities, because also there is opportunities. While the strategy focus on disclosing the actual potential impact of climate-related risks and opportunities on the organization business strategy. And of course, it's financial planning, where such information is important and material. And the organization resilience towards achieving the overall global goal of 1.5 degrees Celsius or lower scenario. Next element is the risk management. Each company and organization should disclose how your organization identify and assess and manage the climate-related risks. All this should be in your reporting. Metrics and targets. Metrics and targets are the management relevant climate-related risks and opportunities where such information is material. Need to focus on three scopes: Scope 1 and Scope 2 and Scope 3. What does it mean? How much emission you are emitting and from where. So Scope 1 is what you burn. Means if your factory is using fossil energy to operate the whole factory, so you are the one who burn the fuel. Second scope is like electricity, like cooling, like heating. So you are consuming the electricity and the AC, but you are not manufacturing it. But when the manufacturer is manufacturing the electricity, they are using also fossil energy. So it's what you buy. So first is what you burn yourself. Scope 2 is what you buy from outside. Scope 3 is outside and beyond your organization, but still within your supply chain, like your supplier who supply you with the raw material. While producing the raw material, they are affecting the climate or emitting carbon dioxide. Same like by using your the aviation, cars, delivery, train, and so on. There is actually more than 15 categories under Scope 3. And when you start measuring the carbon dioxide emission for your organization, you'll find that 80 to 90% is coming from Scope 3. So if we all remember what happened in 2008, the financial crisis, it all happened because the no transparency and over evaluating the assets. So while we are recording our climate change reports, we have to be really transparent. Why? Because the next crisis will not be financial crisis. It will be climate disaster. So we have to be very transparent while we are recording our financial reports. Michael Bloomberg again said, increasing transparency makes markets more efficient an economic more stable and resilient. As a result, there is a rise of something else. The TCFD is showing the disclosures, but we need the international sustainability standard to show us the baseline, how to record our disclosures. The main focus and the primary objective of this standard is to enhance the trust and the confidence in our reports. Let's take example of risks. If a storm happened tomorrow, employees will not come to the company, correct? So no production, no sales. That's affecting our reports and also affecting our assets. If the government tomorrow release a new law that you have to move from this energy to renewable energy, and your equipment is not ready for it, so you are going to lose your assets. If the storm became stronger and destroys the office or the factory, so the climate-related risks can affect our assets, can increase the cost because the fossil energy is increasing its price day after day, and also reduce the demand because most of the customers now, they are aware of the climate change and they are supporting the companies who is going green. It's not yet happening, but once the government implement new rules, if we are not ready and we are not compliant, we are going to pay fines and penalties. And of course, credit losses. So if there is risks, what is the potential financial impact for it? If there is extreme weather, it will reduce our revenue because we cannot produce our products and services. If the sea level increased or rise, as a result, the insurance companies will increase its premium, which is increasing our cost. And if the fuel is increased, which is increasing day after day, so it will increase our operational cost. If the regulations by government for the production of products and services changed, so we are going to lose our current assets because we have to move to the green equipment. So our assets will be less if we can even sell it. Also, there is a paradigm shift for the consumer behavior because the consumers now, as we said, are aware of the climate change and supporting the companies who support the climate change. We spoke about risks. Now let's talk about opportunities, because there is opportunities as well. We can grow in innovation by developing new green products and services and reduce our cost when we move to clean renewable energy from wind and solar and others. We can improve our reputation and image in front of our internal and external customers, either employees or customers or stakeholders, and even investors, because once you are ECG or climate change compliance, so you will resonate with the investors who will come and invest with you. Of course, it will improve your resilience because the market now is totally disruptive, so you have to be ready for the next move. What's the impact of the opportunities? If we move to efficient buildings, we will increase our evaluation. If we go for lower source of energy, it will reduce our cost because the fossil energy now is expensive. It will help us to expand to other developing countries and partnership with government and other banks. It will increase the demand in our products and services because we are going to match the new paradigm shift in the consumer direction now. So if we measure the risk expected within the next 10 years for the top 200 companies only, the risk is actually almost $1 trillion. Let's take an example. Like Toyota, when there were flood in Thailand a couple of years back, and they shut down the factory. They lost the factory. They lost the sales of 650,000 cars produced every year. They cannot produce it. There is hundreds of suppliers who supply the raw material, also shut down because Toyota is not buying from them. And of course, the insurance company who rebuilt the whole factory. So that's the loss related, or the risk related to the climate change. But there is good news here, that there is also opportunities. And if we measure the opportunities of changing and reducing the carbon dioxide emission, it's more than double the risk. So we have to lessen the risk and focus on the opportunities which we can gain. Another good news here, that the Climate Disclosure Standard Board and the Value Reporting Foundation consolidated into the IFRS. Why? So all the finance and accountant can build on the existing reporting systems. And they included the presentations and the themes and industries and sectors where it can easily be reported. So you can easily report it using the IFRS. Now, what is the standards of that disclosures? The standard of the disclosure standards is same like IFRS, which is another good news. It's focused on relevant information, to be specific, to be clear, reliable, verifiable, comparable among companies, and consistent over time and timely basis. Now let's dive more into it. If there is now risks and there is opportunities, which is affecting our revenues and expenses, assets and capital. So the risks and opportunities, of course, will affect our income statement, cash flow, balance sheet, and others, which is the financial impact. So we have to measure that in our reports. For the risks, there is two types of risk, or two categories. One is transition, one is physical. To make it simple, transition is how your company is affecting climate. Physical is how climate can affect your company, which means now your company is releasing carbon dioxide and moving towards reducing that. That's the transition risk. Physical risk is the Mother Nature got upset and there is disasters happening, which can be acute or chronic. Acute like wildfire, chronic like overheat. So we need to record all these risks and opportunities and what potentially can happen. And then move to the opportunities. Move the opportunities like resources efficiency and moving to renewable energy like wind, like solar, and green products and services, reaching new markets and being resilient in the market. DCFD, to assess the price climate-related risk and opportunity, so far it's voluntarily. You don't have to do it, but I think after all what we discuss, we have to do it. And we have to start doing it before it's late. Second, we have to show all this reporting and figures and numbers in our annual reports. So far, it's focusing on the top 200 companies and also in the financial sectors and high-risk non-financial sectors, but it does not mean that we have to start. We have to start also. Here again, talking about the transition risk, physical risk, and the opportunities, which we have to identify and put it in our reports. We have to put multiple scenarios in analyzing the potential risk and the potential opportunities. And moving forward, And we have, of course, to put the short-term and medium-term and long-term plan to achieve the overall goal of reducing and neutralizing the carbon dioxide. Now, there is a global movement, and it's moving very fast. From 2018 to 2022, more than 500% increase of the companies joining the global move. And so far, more than 450 jurisdictions regulating the new SCG compliance. So we have to move. So far, it's not late to start, but don't get more late. How to start? First, you have to get the buy-in from the stakeholders, because at the end of the day, they are the movers. Form your team. You cannot be the only one talking about it in your organization. You have to form a team, and this team should be talking the same language like you. Define the mindset of the net zero. What are the challenges and the opportunities and the enablers to achieve our goal? And set the roadmap. Now we became aware and familiar with the greenhouse gases and what's the causes of the greenhouse gases, the net zero, the TCFDs disclosures, the ISSB baseline, the Financial Stability Board, and using the IFRS guidance and standards and baseline to measure the climate-related risks and opportunities and how to start. Now it's our time to save our planet. Let's watch this inspiral body together.
Fun fact, planet Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Mankind, about 140,000 years old. Let me put that in perspective. If you condense the Earth's lifespan into 24 hours, that's one full day, then we have been here on this planet for, drum roll please, 3 seconds. 3 seconds. And look what we've done. We have modestly named ourselves Homo sapiens, meaning wise man. But is man really so wise? Smart, yes, and it's good to be smart, but not too smart for your own good. Yes, we have split the atom. Yes, we build clever machines that navigate the universe in search of new homes, but at the same time, those atoms we split created nuclear warfare. In our quest to explore the galaxy, rejects and neglects the home that we have here now, so no, that cannot be wisdom. Wisdom is different. While intelligence speaks, wisdom listens, and we willingly covered our ears to Mother Nature's screams and closed our eyes to all of her help-wanted signs. Wisdom knows that every action has an equal and opposite reaction, so if we were wise, we would not be shocked when we see storms that are stronger than ever before, or more drought, hurricanes, and wildfire than ever before, because there's more pollution than ever before, more carbon, more trees cut down than ever before. At a record pace, we have increased the extinction of animals by 1,000 times the normal rate. What a feat. In the next 10 to 100 years, every beloved animal character in every children's book is predicted to go extinct. Lions gone, rhinos gone, tiger, gorilla, elephant, polar bear gone in 3 seconds. Species that have been here longer than us will be gone because of us in this 3 seconds. In an existence shorter than a Vine video, we turn the circle of life into our own personal conveyor belt. Somebody, anybody help. We were given so much. The only planet in this solar system with life. I mean, we are 1 in a million. No, actually, scientifically, we are 1 in a billion, trillion. That's a 1 followed by 33 zeros. And I don't want to get too spiritual, but how are we not a miracle? We are perfectly positioned for the sun, so we don't burn, but not too distant, so we don't turn to ice. Goldilocks said it best. We are just like this paradise, where we are given medicine from trees, not coincidentally, but because, like the song says, we are family. Literally, everything, every species is connected genetically, from the sunflower to the sunfish. And this is what we must recognize before it's too late, because the real crisis is not global warming, environmental destruction, or animal agriculture. It is us. These problems are symptoms of us, byproducts of us. Our inner reflection, loss of connection has created this misdirection. We have forgotten that everything contributes to the perfection of Mother Nature. Corporations keep us unaware and disconnected, but they have underestimated our strength. Contrary to popular belief, millions are waking up out of their sleep, seeing our home being taken right up under their feet. We cannot allow our history to be written by the wicked, greedy, and loony. It is our duty to protect Mother Nature from those who refuse to see her beauty. Call me crazy, but I believe we should have the right to eat food that's safe, with ingredients we can pronounce, drink water that is clean, marvel at trees, breathe air free of toxins. These are natural rights, not things that can be bargained for in Congress. See, they want you to feel powerless, but it has been said that something as small as the flutter of a butterfly's wing can cause a typhoon halfway around the world. But when enough people come together, we too will make waves and watch the world into a new era filled with love and connection, freedom for all without oppression. But it is up to you, yes, you watching this behind this screen, to make the effort, because time is of the essence, and only together can we make it to the fourth second.
Wow. Every time I watch this video, I feel a goosebumps. Nature is giving us all what we want and all what we need, but we only destroy it. So our slides are over now. I have just one last message to you. It's all between our hands. We can do it if we want to do it. Let's put our hands together and start with ourselves, with our communities and our companies. Let's think about it as a Mother Nature justice. We need to achieve justice for our Mother Nature. In 3 seconds, our lifespan, we sacrificed our planet for the sake of few people who make unbelievable amount of money and getting rich and rich more day after day. We cannot move forward with the same mentality we had, because our current mentality destroyed our planet. So let's deal with the crisis as a crisis, because it's crisis. It's real crisis. Let's embrace the changes, and let's be carbon science-based companies. Let's save our future, our children's future, our grandchildren's future, and let's commit to ourselves. That's personal commitment. Thank you so much. I hope it was all topics was covered today, and thank you so much again for joining us, and thank you so much, IFA, for arranging this seminar. I will give back the floor to Mr. Saqib. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Khalid. It was really interesting, honestly. Like kind of indulging, and the content you've created, it was fantastic. And I personally also believe that we, as professional accountants, we also have a responsibility towards this initiative, and we can do a lot on, honestly. By just like not only just one thing, we can save a lot of things, like from in terms of reduced paper usage, or like in our offices, in our departments, creating some reporting, creating some targets between the like within the organizations of the to becoming a net zero organization. I believe that everyone who attended today had a wonderful session, and it must have sort of added to their knowledge. You guys have any question, or you want to discuss any specific topic? And so please, you have 5 minutes. You can drop us question answer through the question answer link. Well, I think we are fine. And so guys, if you guys have any, like you want to know about our upcoming sessions, please keep an eye on the list of events on the IFA's website. There are a lot of very interesting sessions coming up. We will definitely keep you posted. The next one event, which I forgot to mention, there is one webinar in the month of October, which is about the impact of corporate tax on free zone companies. We'll discuss briefly about that. Then we have this 4th of October event, a physical event about the corporate tax. Then there are a couple of other things. BAVO is already in process of getting the endorsement from IFA about for 2 different sections. One is the International Financial Reporting Standards Diploma, and the other one is corporate tax. So as soon as it is done, you guys will be kind of intimated, and you'll also get information about that. I hope you guys enjoyed today's session. We already have we are already connected. Most of you already have my contact details. If not, you can always get my contact details from the website. And if you guys want to connect with Mr. Khalid separately offline, you already have seen his email address and numbers. So thank you so much once again, and have a nice day. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Khalid. Thank you.